All right, it seems to be 9 o'clock our time. Let's kick this show off. So, thank you for attending our second webinar in the demand generation series. Today, we are going to be talking about search engine optimization in the context of demand generation.
9 o'clock our time.
So we are having a little bit technical cases with additional speakers going off. Though I do enjoy my own voice, it's better to be just the human element here. So search engine optimization. I'm Henrik Lagercrantz. I have with me Samuli Isomäki.
Hello, everybody.
And I think you've seen enough of our faces for today. So let's quickly jump onto the slides, and then we can hide behind a beautiful slide deck here. So moving forward with our presentation here. My name is Henrik, as said, and I work as the leader of our tech team, under which basically the demand generation lives under that domain as well.
Yes, and I am Samuli Isomäki, and I work as a demand generation specialist here in IDBPN, and I act as a lead in our demand generation team.
So we collaborate a lot with Samuli on all these topics that we're going to be discussing today. But what are we going to be discussing, Samuli?
Yeah, that's a good question. Today's theme is the role of SEO in 2019 and especially in driving demand generation. We are going to discuss about what are the standard SEO tactics when it comes to demand generation, where to apply SEO tactics in demand generation, how to integrate SEO into your everyday processes, and of course ever-changing algorithms in SEO. And after this, we are going to answer your questions, so please send those good questions. It's always nice to get those.
So basically, you can leave your comments and questions in YouTube. You might need to be logged in with your own credentials to be able to do that, but under this window of the actual video here, you will have the area where to leave your questions. So we'll get to those. You can pop them in at any time. We'll leave time at the end, but please be active on that part. So it would not be a free webinar without a word from our sponsor, IDBBN here. So who was IDBBN again? So we are a modern marketing agency driving success in following fields here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically operations for digital marketing, marketing ecosystems from strategy to implementation and integrations with all the creative angles and machine learning operations in between. Here's a classic logo list. No need to dive into any deeper there. Let's talk about search engine optimization, or rather than our clients. So SEO Tactics. Everybody has a grasp on the standards of SEO. When we look at this from the tactics approach, we basically have 3 different domains under which we have operations and different tactics under. So technical SEO, this is everything that you control from the very IT or technical, the internet side of things. So everything related to your domains, your HTTPS certificates, traffic amounts, page load speeds, and all those technical things that are related to your website. The HTML structure to some extent in there as well. On-page optimization as a second category here. This is where all your content related operations in search engine optimizations live. So basically all your website titles, headlines, meta tags, social media tags, all the structured data, how you type and write your page URLs, the content and the richness of your targeted keywords, all that lives under here. So optimizing for relevant search terms and phrases. Most of marketing operations targeted naturally towards that area there. We have link building as the third category, which basically speaks to the relevancy of your content in context to the search terms. So looking at what sort of pages, what are the topics of those pages that link externally onto your website, onto your web page, and then deducing relevancy from those sites, as well as how you are implementing linking of your own content, your own different websites between each other. This is called in-linking. So how you tie other existing content and their authority, their SEO rankings, and use that to boost your search engine rankings. So this is basically the nuts and bolts of tactics under SEO, which are all trying to drive better organic reach in search engines, mostly Google, but Bing is still a thing and a rising in some areas. But having gone through a bunch of straightforward sounding operations that we all have some context to, when looking at better SEO, world-class SEO, is taking these three buckets of tools into account and hacking away at your website and web pages through the results that your SEO crawler tools might list you all sorts of operations that you must fix. What do you think, Samuli? Is this enough to just insert manual labor under these topics and start hacking away to reach peak SEO on a world level? What's your take on things?
Yeah, of course, these are the bread and butter of SEO, but the first message we want to give for our customers is that we start thinking from projects to long-term doing. That's the SEO done right. But if we think about nowadays SEO, it's much more than honing your keywords on the landing pages and fixing all the technical aspects and building those external links targeting your site. It's much more than that. For SEO, you must tie your whole web presence together within a well-planned manner and in the way that serves both the human users and also the search engine crawlers. So it's not an easy task, but it's doable.
Mm.
For succeeding in that, firstly, you must understand your field of business. So you need to know who you are, your competitors, what are they doing, and able to stand out in the hard competition. You need to understand what kind of content they are publishing. Do they have links directing traffic to their sites and what keywords they are using? And when you do this well enough, you might be able also to find a whole niches that might bring you competitors that that bring you traffic that your competitors are not getting, and you might exploit those niches. So it's really understand to follow your competitors and learn from them. Secondly, you must understand your audience and what's their intent. What I mean by this is when you know your users, what are their pain points, and you might understand better their behavior, then you can target their different needs and in different buying stages, and you can build your content based on the buyer personas and needs of those. So when you know your competition and you know your audience, then you can create the exceptional content. For the exceptional content, this contains well into abbreviation EAT, that stands for the expertise, authority and trustworthiness. So the expertise part is, well, to be able to create expert content, you really must simply know your audience and understand what are their needs and what they are searching for. And when you know that, you might be able to exceed their expectations. And for the authority part, when your content is exceptional and your audience just simply loves it, then maybe other users and websites might start linking to your site. That will increase the authority for both the search engine crawlers and also for the human users. So you might get traffic from other websites because your content is that good. And thirdly is the trustworthiness, and this, when your game is good, you create good quality content and your audience value it, you might start getting reviews and you start get new customers, which gives you new references that increases your trustworthiness, and you get the social proof from your audience. And lastly, the usability part of this. You must ensure the smooth usability for users and also for the web crawlers. So optimize the page for mobile usage as major part of the traffic nowadays come from mobiles. So mobile first priority. Optimize for page speed. As you know, nobody wants to wait for the page to load, and also Google penalizes if your page is slow. Use those HTTPS because if you don't have SSL certificate, the Google is going to rank you, and also your web browser states that this site is not secure. And lastly, use structured data for web crawlers so they are able to show your web content in a better way in the search engine ranking pages.
So to summarize, are you, Samuli, saying that there is no silver bullet, not one individual SEO task that if you do this, you are top of the game? One must actually understand the buyer and all their different stages and the needs in those different stages, and content is king. Is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Perfect. Let's move towards the different operations in different stages of buyer's journey, and discuss where SEO has the most impact, where might one be okay to direct SEO budgets or operations towards other parts of your marketing operations, or where would the value not be that high. So what does SEO look like in the different stages of the buyer journey? Lead in from that, Samuli.
Thank you. Well, of course, we need to understand that there's a difference between long-term campaigns and short-term campaigns, even though we still would, it would be beneficial to think SEO as a built-in operating model for everything we do to ensure the long-term success. But of course, there are some campaigns that last for 1 week and your landing page is going away after that. So on those pages, it's maybe not so crucial, but still you need to understand who is your audience and make the usability of that page good, and make sure you maybe get those leads and yeah. Use it every time you do something. That's what I think about it. But if we think about it in the marketing funnel, there are different phases where our prospect can learn new things when they are searching information, and in general looking for information. And we need to understand that the awareness stage, this is like the modern day window shopping, where buyers are searching information. So in this phase, they might be doing searches on the Google or Bing that they are not using the right terms. They don't know what they are looking for. They might have an idea, but are not sure what are the real terms. So in this phase, we can teach them totally new terms. We can also teach them terms that only our company uses, so we can stand out in the competition. On the interest phase, buyers are learning more about some specific product or service. And on the consideration phase, they are looking more additional information, review, comparison, prices, and so on. And on the conversion stage, they might be doing some last-minute checks, looking for between different service providers and so on. So how could search terms look in different stages? I give you just some example. So let's pretend that I'm a customer who is jumping in the marketing automation trend because it's been trendy for a while, and I understand that our company also needs marketing automation. So I might do a Google search in the awareness stage. Let's say I Google in best marketing automation platform, and I end up on this page of IDBBN that is discussing about Oracle Eloqua marketing automation. So I learned that Oracle has a kick-ass marketing automation system that would be really beneficial for our company. So in the interest phase, I need to learn more about the Oracle. So my next search will be Oracle Eloqua marketing automation. I go through different web pages and learn new things and realize that Oracle is really the answer for our marketing automation needs. So what next? I'm considering that, okay, we are getting to Oracle Eloqua, it's the good choice for us, but we are not able to implement it by ourselves. So I start Googling with term Oracle Eloqua partners to find a partner who can help us implement it. And again, I stumble in the webpage of IDBBN and learned that they have quite many customers using successfully the Oracle Eloqua and standing out in the competition. So the last phase is that there might be also other companies that I want to check out. So my last Google before the buying decision might be Oracle Eloqua references and use cases, and again might be that IDBBN stands out with good references and they have use cases and content about that. So that's how you can lay your service to the different phases on the marketing funnel.
How would you speak to a company that is investing heavily in search engine marketing and Google Ads? How is SEO, or is there any relation between these two operations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There is a huge synergy between SEO and search engine marketing. If we think about Google search advertising, the Google goes through your landing page and looks if there are the same keywords that you are using for the advertising. It checks the content, also a bit of the usability. So if you have done the search engine optimization right, the landing page will also be good for the search engine marketing. So yes, there's a huge synergy, and also your social media ads will benefit from good SEO optimization.
So basically, by doing good SEO, you also increase the efficiency of your paid advertising, if those are done in link and synergy. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
So basically, SEO returns on investment come from other sources as from the direct traffic themselves. So a good point. Moving towards processes, everyday operations, SEO might not be an item that you think about all the time, every day, in each breath you take. So quite often SEO is approached as a one big SEO overhaul project, but of course your digital presence that's constantly evolving. A website is never finished. New content is constantly being created. thus having a SEO state of mind throughout all your everyday marketing related processes is key to having a high ranking in Google and keeping it there once you've gotten some results. So when looking at everyday marketing operations processes, it might be easy to forget SEO in the multitude of tasks that are marketing related, since all of them do not have any tangent with the digital realm. So speaking about how to ensure that SEO is taken into account where it actually matters, this is naturally a process and project management question. So of course, one must raise the awareness of SEO throughout the whole cross-functional team that is implementing operations into the digital realm, because this empowers the individuals there to know that what is my realm of impact, how can I affect the relative stages, and what are the whole what's this all about? So to empowering those individuals to do their best in here, that's of course the key. And of course you must manage the processes and projects themselves to ensure that SEO is being discussed already in the planning stage, and not as a final oops, did we remember to look at this from an SEO perspective, which I've heard has sometimes happened. So basically I have a 5-stage process here, from planning to publishing and analysis, but I'm not going to go through all of these in super detail. You're going to be getting all of this material afterwards. So all of these lovely bullet points is better time spent you reading them instead of me lecturing on them. But basically each stage here: planning, creative process, tech build, publishing, analysis. SEO has a different manifestation in each of these stages here, and one must be on top of the process to ensure that SEO has been thought of, at least on the discussion level, that do we need to consider SEO when building these assets or elements or components. So actually the more interesting, at least from a technical person's side here, what is the algorithm? So Samuli, if somebody walks up to you and asks, what is the current search ranking algorithm? What's important for Google today? Samuli, how would you respond to such a easy question?
Yeah, super duper easy. Well, I would say that I think that even Google doesn't know what is happening. There are such many changes in algorithms also on the daily basis, the smaller ones, and every once in a while there comes a big changes that some companies might see in the traffic, but for a smaller website, the changes doesn't be so visible in that critical manner. But if we go through some big changes that I find are really important, for the first part, I have to say is the rise of content. So we've been discussing about the content and understanding the users and what they are searching for, and building the content for the different buyers, personas moving on different buying stages. So that's really important. So we have been moving away from keyword stuffing to less quantity and more quality. Secondly is the user first. This means good usability, and also the landing page need to match the expectations of the users. So the content need to be highly relevant. And again, we come back to the understanding your audience, because otherwise they are going to do a pogo sticking, which means that they do a Google search, come to your page, find out that it's not answering their question or is not relevant, and going back to the Google. So Google understands that they just spend under a few seconds on your site, and it's going to be in some point penalizing your site. Mobile prioritization, this is in the same boat with the user experience, as more and more of the searches are made from mobile devices. So create those web pages and sites on mobile first principle, and really important. SERP changes, this comes from search engine results page. There's been a huge changes in the results page during different years. And here is, if I remember right, this is from year 2006. So all your Google users might find out that this looks a little bit different than nowadays. So there's been, the first change has been putting the ads on the page. First there was 8, now there is 4, and the look is changing constantly. The new change is that there are already feature snippets that the crawlers show the most best content right away on the top of the page. So if your page has really good information, you might get your own feature snippet box on the Google that stands out really well. And for certain search terms, there might be multiple boxes for feature snippets and for the structured data. So this is for the structured data. You need to implement a script in your website so that Google crawlers can find out the information. You can also show prices, ratings, and so on. So the structured data is really important. And really big information is that in this June, first time in the whole history of Google, almost over 50% of the searches didn't end up with click. No, over 50% of the searchers didn't click to any link. So that's huge. This means that there is going to be less traffic to your website. So the structured data and feature snippets are going to be really important, and the competition is huge. So it's important to get your pages to rank on the Google. And I'm sure that this is going to even increase the number. So yeah, this makes me silent. I'm out of words, so huge number.
Yeah, so basically that's a very important item to consider as a marketeer, that providing value in such a structure that one might actually be able to get the answer through Google's interface without actually having to come to your website. But what does that mean if your conversion points in all your forums and where you capture data, how they behave? Well, that's of course on your website, and you want to lead them there. So that is a place for analysis and strategy planning, that how to bring forth tactics and how would one survive in this new world, new click economy, and what might one do to get some leverage on the competition. So definitely big changes coming. Wasn't it so, Samuli, that basically voice searches and this less and less typing sort of a world is around the corner as well? Any thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, voice searches is definitely going to be a big thing, and it's also important to keep that in mind when you are planning for the content for your websites. And yeah, good question. It's going to be a big thing.
So we've reached 30 minutes into our dialogues here. So if you have any questions, do hack them away. We have Tanya here who will act as our reader of these questions and bring forth everything you have to say or ask. But before you have time to write your questions, I have a few items that I jumped over here. So actually, one question that I often get is PDFs, ebooks, and SEO. So if we're building an ebook, should I consider SEO and keywords in this production phase? What's the tangent in those? Is there anything? Yeah.
If it's in internet, you want Google to index it. So one easy thing is naming of the ebook. Give the ebook the file the same name that it's the main title. And also, if I remember right, since 2011 or even earlier, Google has been crawling also the PDF files. So SEO for the PDF files, it's important for also for the Google crawlers and also for the user as SEO way of thinking isn't only optimization, it's making the content more valuable, more relevant, more easy to read, and more valuable. So yeah, do also SEO for those ebooks.
If thinking about return on investment or effort, if you have a landing page where you're promoting your ebook that might not even be behind gated content, and you had 2 hours to spend on SEO, would you use that on the landing page or the asset from the SEO perspective? Where would you? How would you do?
That's a hard question because it's important to get that traffic on the landing page and people to download the ebook, but also it's super duper important for the ebook downloaders to get good quality content. So, I would do both. I would do the landing page during a work time and on my own time.
Is there anything that you would or have come across in your career that most overlooked items in SEO or biggest mistakes or like low-hanging fruit that people often forget or overlook? Anything come to mind?
Well, me and my colleagues have been doing plenty of SEO audits for small sites, big web pages. The biggest one was over 200,000 pages, which we went through manually, all of those. So what I can say from this is that over 70%, well over, let's say over 80% of the pages have quite much low-hanging fruits. So it's often that there are a lot of do for the optimization, even though the companies have been trying to optimize, but still there is a lot to do on the most pages.
So basically, when in the beginning we went through these standard tactics and all those titles, meta tags, descriptions, duplicate content, URL structures. So that is items that if you do you have these tools that you can use to crawl through your website, and then it does a quick analysis and lists you all the broken links and whatnot. So that would be one item to get a grasp of where you are currently at and deducing the scope of operations that you might benefit from doing.
I think it's super important to know where you are now. So doing a quick audit or a longer audit for your website, it's really beneficial, and it will tell you what you need to do, and you can start planning the optimization process. Of course, the content is the king, it's the bread and butter, so I would start with the content, and if it's that, when that's in a good condition, then start building those links, which is 40% of the search engine visibility comes from external links pointing to your domain. So, and that's the hard part, how you get the external links. You need the strategy for that. You need use the press to with press releases, and you might be also doing Quest webinars, Quest blogging, and stuff like that to get those really important external links. And of course, at the same time, the tech guys should look in under the hood and make sure that the site is working and functioning well.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that you brought up in this chasing for external linking. So quite often, I think that might be one most easily overlooked item that organizations might not even be thinking about. I think quite often people are aware that probably our titles and our descriptions and all that might not be fully up to par. They know that where they are at in that sense, but quite often people and companies forget that, okay, are we doing anything to trying to facilitate external parties linking towards our website? We have partners, we have distributors, we have customers, we have all kinds of third parties that we could reach out to that, hey, look at this awesome piece of content or helpful fact or our guides and whatnot that we've produced. Would you or your interest groups find this valuable? If yes, here's the link. Here's instructions how you might and how we would best benefit from you linking to us, and vice versa. You could do the same if that partner or their website speaks about the same topics, linking back and forth between your sites. That is basically speaking to the relevance of yes, you are both on the same domain, and you would get benefit, especially if the partner themselves have good SEO operations implemented. You could harvest the benefits of those just by having them link to your website. So I think that is one very often overlooked area. One item that just came to mind basically is also the migration from an old website to a new website. What is, does that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah, that rings a bell loudly. Yeah, that's one really overlooked topic. Even though you wouldn't have a lot of content and not a lot of links, every link choose you got from Google is important. So when you are changing your domain or changing the content management system or whatever, building a new website, you should always use the old links, the old content, and redirect the traffic, redirect the content to the new page. Even though there wouldn't be the same content, give it some landing page and redirect to it. So that's super important.
Yeah, so mapping your existing URLs and planning, okay, which pages on our new website would best correlate with this, and doing redirections for the URLs that you previously had traffic coming from Google. All right, we have approximately 35 seconds left of our 40-minute slot with you guys. What's next? Please go to our website. We have material coming up from SEO standpoint, as well as all the existing material that we have there. We also have 2 upcoming webinars on this series coming up. Next is Content is King, if I remember correctly, and then we have email deliverability in this demand generation. So stay tuned on our website and our newsletters. Subscribe to that if you're not already doing that. If you want to discuss more deeply on how we could help you in your organization, here's our contact details that you can reach out to us and get moving, get a leg up on SEO operations. So I thank you for your time, and we'll be in touch. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.